All right, let's just dive right into this because today we are tackling one of the biggest, most stubborn puzzles in all of science. It's all about a single, kind of weird number that has been haunting physicists for literally 100 years.
And this is it, roughly 1 over 137. It's called the fine structure constant, and it pops up everywhere. I mean, anywhere light and matter interact, this number is there, from how an atom sticks together to the way stars burn. And for a century, the smartest people on the planet have been obsessed with one simple question about it.
Why this number specifically? Is it some deep secret of the universe, like a dial that was set perfectly at the Big Bang? Well, the source material for this whole explainer offers a pretty radical and honestly a totally unexpected answer. Maybe we've been asking the wrong question this whole time.
But before we get into that mind-bending idea, let's just quickly set the stage. Why is this number considered such a huge deal in the first place?
So, here's the bottom line. This number is basically the volume knob for electromagnetism. It dictates how strong that force is. And get this, if you were to change it, even just a tiny, tiny bit, the universe as we know it with stars and planets and us, well, it just couldn't exist. It's a cornerstone of reality itself. So yeah, no wonder physicists want to know where it comes from.
Okay, so now let's get to the really disruptive idea from our source material. The whole argument is that our century-long hunt for an answer is, well, built on a giant misunderstanding. I mean, that claim is incredibly bold, right? To say the entire research effort is misdirected, and the reason is fascinating. The argument is that the mystery isn't hiding out there in deep space. It's actually right here, inside our own heads. And this is the absolute key to the whole thing. We just assume that 137 is some property of the universe that we went out and discovered, but what if it's not? What if it's actually just a side effect of our human perspective, a number that only exists because of how we have to look at the world?
And this brings us to the core of the idea. This concept of us, as observers, drawing lines on a reality that doesn't actually have any.
According to this viewpoint, we need to imagine nature not as a bunch of separate things, but as one single, seamless, unbroken whole. In this picture of reality, there are no pre-existing lines separating, say, a rock from a tree or light from matter. It's all just one thing.
And you can see the conflict right here. On one hand, you have nature, this unified, distinctionless whole. But on the other hand, you have our human minds, which, to make any sense of the world, have to break it down. We have to draw lines. We invent categories like light and matter, electron and photon. They're the tools we use to understand everything. But they might not be real features of the world itself.
So how does this process actually create a number? Well, it's a pretty simple chain of events, really. First, we force a separation where, in reality, there isn't one. The second we define two separate things, we can suddenly compare them to each other. And the result of that comparison, the relationship between them, is always going to be a number, a ratio. You see? The number doesn't even exist until after we draw the line.
And this leads us to the big reveal. The number isn't some profound discovery from the outside world. It's actually just a reflection of our own methods. Man, that is such a powerful way to put it. Imagine there's just one continuous piece of land. We come along and decide to call one part shore A and another part shore B. Then we build a bridge between them and spend the next 100 years obsessing over why the bridge is exactly that length. We're completely missing the point. The shores only exist as separate things because we decided they did.
So the conclusion from that metaphor is pretty clear. This number isn't some feature of the landscape that we just stumbled upon. Instead, it's more like a mathematical shadow, a shadow cast by the very line we drew in the sand to separate light and matter, two concepts that, in the grand scheme of things, might just be different aspects of the same unified stuff. And the implications of this, they're staggering. It suggests that the fundamental objects of physics, electrons, photons, the things we learn about in school, they might not be real, separate things at all. They're incredibly useful ideas for sure, but they're human abstractions. And if that's true, then asking why this specific number connects two things that don't really exist separately, well, it's a question that can't have an answer. It's a dead end.
So you can see how this pushes us way beyond a weird number in a physics equation. It starts to get at a much deeper question about what knowledge even is. And really, it all boils down to this. We've been looking through a telescope scanning the cosmos for the origin of this number. This new perspective suggests we should have been looking in a mirror the whole time. The mystery of 1 over 137 isn't about the universe. It's about us and how we see it.
And that leaves us with this final, really provocative question to chew on. For centuries, we've thought of physics as the act of discovering the laws of reality. But what if it's also, in some deep and profound way, an act of creation? What if the very lines we draw and the questions we decide to ask actually shape the answers we find? It's a pretty wild idea to think about.